Hi, I'm the Warrior Witch, and you can call me Nike. If you've ever wanted to kick up your spell work a notch, if you've wanted to add a little extra something to it, or maybe have a simple thing that you can carry around with you and use every day instead of having to do a whole working each time, this video is for you. Today, I want to talk about making your own oils for spell work. Now I know that when we're starting in the craft, a lot of these items that we see people using seem like they would be so hard to get into, impossible to make yourself. You have to buy it or you'll just go without because you're never going to be able to use it or you're never going to be able to make it. Well, I'm here to tell you that that is not the case and that oil making is actually very simple. What do you use oils for in your workings? And there's a lot of ways that you can use them and a lot of reasons to use them in your workings. One is that, again, they're easy to carry around with you. Some oils, if they are formulated a certain way, can be applied to your hands and rubbed into the skin whenever you need it. So for example, if you have a success oil, you could use it and rub it on your hands as you're walking into a job interview. If you have a glamour oil, you can use that whenever you need a little boost. Or if you need to be hidden from the crowd, you can apply that before you go out in public. Things like that. So you can apply it to yourself as long as all the ingredients are, of course, body safe. You can use them to anoint things. Typically, you'll see this being used on candles, where you dress a candle with an oil, maybe rub it in a little bit, or you are dropping it around the candle for your spell work, or whatever other item that you're using as your base. If you're using a charm bag, you might put a few drops of the oil into that. If you're using a jar, you might put a few drops into the jar, or on the outside of it, maybe in the lid or on the base. But usually you are dressing the items of your spell work with that oil. If you are a cook and more of a kitchen witch, you can also craft your own oils for use in the kitchen. So if all the items inside are edible and safe to be eaten, no allergy concerns, you can use that oil while you're cooking to infuse it with that desire as an extra boost on top of whatever herbs you might be using to season, whatever way you might be preparing it, or whatever intentions you might be stirring in. I see your little paws, you little maniac. Are you serious? I get no peace in this house. Never once do I get peace. This is Sebastian, for a little tangent. He is about 8 months old, seven months old. He's my sweet little angel baby, who is sometimes also the devil. And that's okay, because we love him anyway. Yeah. You just wanted to be with me and you're upset that the door is closed. Fine. Please don't touch the setup. Please. Anyway, these are not the only ways that you can use your spellwork oils, by the way. These are just a few of the easy examples that I can name off the top of my head and the way that I like to use my oils in my own personal practice. But lots of people have lots of different ways that they use them. Now, if it's so easy, how do you do it? How do you formulate these oils? How do you make them? And the answer is very simple. I will walk you through the steps that I take to make my own oils, and you can follow along with whatever ingredients you want to use on your own, or just take some notes for the future. First, you gotta start with a carrier oil. Typically, you'll find things like olive oil, almond oil, jojoba oil is very common, especially for things that are meant to go on the body, like to rub it in the skin, but each one has its own purpose. So the correspondences for olives versus almonds versus jojoba, those all will also enhance the spell work, but if you only have olive oil, say, that kind of works for most things, to be honest, and if it's the only thing you have, don't shy away from using it. Personally, I have just a little bit of extra income to be able to spend on some of those things to be able to get, on occasion, a specific oil. So for example, my money oil used this sweet almond oil because almonds have an association with money. So I used that in addition to all the other ingredients to help boost the oil itself, as having the base be specific to that intention as well. Second would be your ingredients. So typically this is things like herbs, some essential oils, but be careful with how much you use and make sure you're being safe, especially if it's being applied to the skin and while you're working with them. Essential oils have their own safety concerns, so just make sure that you're taking care. And you can also include things like stones, so amethyst chips, citrine chips. Just make sure that they are things that are, as always, going to be safe to put in the oil. For example, one thing you might not want to put inside is malachite. That is a stone that if it is left in water or liquid and potentially oil, it will eventually leach off toxic levels of copper, and so you would get heavy metal poisoning if you were to, say, use that in your food or to put it on your skin. So if you want to use crystals and mineral chips, typically I suggest putting them on the outside of the container and charging it using it that way, rather than putting the actual chips inside. And final would be things like incense, powders, and anything else that you might include otherwise. So you might light the incense while you're doing the working to charge the oil itself, but you're not necessarily putting the incense into the oil. You might have a small ritual incense that you like using during your workings in general to get yourself in the space, whatever's going to work, anything to enhance the atmosphere. You might also do things like playing certain music while you were enchanting the oil to, again, add another level of enhancement. So if you're making a money oil, you might put on Money, Money, Money by ABBA, that's a good option, or Bitch Better Have My Money by Rihanna, just something to bring in the mood of what you're looking for. It doesn't just have to be physical items that you include to bring certain intentions into the working. Final would be the container. So the way that I personally make my oils, I start with a mason jar of some form. I have these little mini half sizes that I like to use because I don't need a lot of oils for myself. I don't tend to want to make large quantities at a time, so I go with a smaller container to start, and then I will filter that into a small dropper bottle. Now the mason jars you can get pretty much anywhere. You can get them at thrift stores, you can get them at Target and Walmart, that kind of stuff. And the dropper bottles you can get a lot of places online. I just have a particular style that I enjoy, but you can get them anywhere, whatever size works for you. If you only need a small one, get a small one. You could even get a little roller ball type. So if you're making something to go on the skin, you could roll it onto the skin versus dropping it on if you want to control the amount a little better. A little something extra that I like to do on my oils is I like to put on stickers, because that adds a little visual reminder of what it is for on top of any of the writing. It adds that idea while I'm putting the stickers on there, and every time I look at it, every time I use it, I can see those stickers and be reminded of the extra punch that I want to pack into it. So on my money oil, for example, I want my money to come quickly and with success. So I have a sticker that says here and now. And I also have one that says keep dreaming big, because I want to use this money oil particularly to help me achieve larger financial goals and dreams that I have for myself and my family. When it comes to the actual crafting of the oil, that's a relatively simple process. To really just break it down into a couple of steps. Step one, put the ingredients into the jar one at a time. You can either hold them in your hand as you enchant them, or you can put them into the jar and then say whatever incantation over them that you like. And with each ingredient, you're adding them to the jar and filling it up to whatever level. Try not to fill it up all the way to the top, because you do still want a little bit of space. Second would be to put in the carrier oil. So you want to make sure that all of your ingredients are completely covered and just a little bit extra on top. That's why you don't want to fill it up too much with the ingredients themselves. Gotta leave room for the oil itself. And step three is to just let it sit. Put it somewhere in a dark spot. If you want to add a little bit of sun infusion or moon infusion, you can put it up in your windowsill for a little sunlight or moonlight to help infuse it further, perhaps during a particular solar season or a particular moon phase or a particular moon in a zodiac sign. That kind of thing can also be a little extra flavor that you add in, but is not necessary on its own. At that point, all that's left to do is to use the oil. I personally prefer to either put it on my hands or anoint candles with it, or put it around the Spellwork, depending on what I'm doing, if I don't want it to interfere too much. But I'm very hands-on with my oils. I use it pretty much everywhere. If you own a business, you could put a couple drops of money oil outside of your business doors to help attract customers in. I have a call clients incense that could be used for this purpose. So for a business owner, this would be a perfect thing to light while you are making the oil to infuse it with that intention of specifically bringing in the clients. If you like, you can recharge it every so often. So again, during certain lunar phases, maybe every new moon or waxing moon, you decide you want to re-up it, or when the moon moves into certain zodiac signs, or the day of the week. Some people will work it weekly on a specific day. For money oil, that might be a Thursday. For something business related or communication oils, it could be a Wednesday. For anything involving love and romance matters, maybe some self-love oil, that could be a Friday. For being really energized, you might charge it on a Sunday, and on and on. As always, boo hiss the boring parts, safety, but it's important. Like I've already mentioned, and as I will reiterate now, if you know you have allergies, do not put it in the oil. It's really important. Be careful about what you're putting in, and make sure if you're putting in certain herbs that you do not typically find in the kitchen ingredient section, make sure it is edible and sourced from somewhere that is safe. You don't want to just get it from the corner of the road because you're going to get a lot of that runoff. You want to make sure wherever you harvest it from is going to be safe and edible. Roses, for example, you can get edible roses, but store-bought roses often come with a lot of chemicals to help preserve them because the roses that you get as bouquets are not meant to be eaten. There are specifically edible rose petals or edible roses you can get that are not going to have those same ingredients and make them safer to eat. Anytime you work with essential oils, there are always risks. You really don't want to get much of it on your hands. Avoid touching your eyes. Wash your hands really well if you're working with them. And if you have to clean them up very well. Certain essential oils can also cause skin irritations, especially for those with sensitive skin. For example, peppermint oil is pretty pungent, and if you get it too close to your eyes because you forgot you had it on your hands, like I did once, it really burns. Don't be like me. And the same goes with a lot of essential oils. There's a lot of them out there that they smell great, but they can be a little risky for your skin. So just be careful, do your research as always, and make sure that you are appropriately dosing it as well. You only need so many drops of essential oil in your oil base, especially if it's going to go on your skin. 2 to 3 drops is usually fine. You don't need more amounts of the ingredient to make it more potent. It's about the magic that you are infusing into it, not about the amount that is there. And finally, if you've never used oils before, it would be a good idea to try to test that oil base if you plan to put it on your body or ingest it before you actually make the oil. Take a drop, put it somewhere safe on your skin, and observe how your skin reacts. If there's no reaction, great, but make sure that you are testing things beforehand, because I would hate for somebody to get really excited about using an oil and realize that they're actually allergic or sensitive to that oil base, and then they've ingested it or used it on their skin, and now their hands are really irritated, or maybe if they put it on their sternum, the sternum is all irritated and breaking out in whatever reaction you might have. I just want to make sure that you guys are staying safe. At this point, if you have taken all the safety precautions that you need to, if you've done your proper research, and if you've made the oil, then have at it. Enjoy, have a good time. And if you make your own oils from this video, go ahead and either post on Instagram and tag me, or you can post it to Threads, which is basically Twitter, because I'm not on Twitter anymore. Post it there and tag me. You can put it in the comments of this video and tell me what you've done, things like that. So go ahead and get creative, have fun. I hope you guys enjoy. And if you've got any questions about this process, just let me know. And we as a community can come together and share our experiences. If you want to follow me, I am on Instagram. Obviously, I'm here on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. Certainly helps me out. And you can also join my Discord, where we have a lot of good community discussions. I'll have a link for that down below in the description if you want to come and join us. It's a fun time. Otherwise, have a good day, have a good evening, have fun crafting, and blessed be. As a side note, I do plan to be around a little bit more. I'm trying to work on my schedule to make it a little easier on myself for planning days and filming days and such. So I'm trying now, with how things have settled out, to make that happen. But I'm not going to promise a date, so I will see you when I see you.